How to handle rejection. So we're going to talk about today. The biggest obstacle to success in many avenues, rejection. But first, please don't reject me. Please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, like, comment, all other platforms. I need to inhale that validation because I don't want to feel rejected. My feelings hurt. Look. Fear of rejection is tough to deal with. I'm not one of these people who is just going to give you sugar-coated advice and just say, you can do it and go out there. No. For the most part, fear of rejection keeps 99% of people's lives stuck in spots that they don't want to be in various areas. And it's a deep-seated problem. One of the ways to overcome situations is to at least clearly articulate the diagnosis, what's actually wrong, deep down, to at least give you a fighting chance. So while I'm not going to pretend like it's easy to overcome the fear of rejection, knowing its roots a little bit can help. So I've talked about the roots many times before, and just kind of a general theme of this channel, if you look at human beings as animals, it'll help you understand the world a lot better. We often tend to think of ourselves as being above the animals or the caveman nature that we have when we're actually predominantly run by our cave people animalistic nature. And one of the things we fear most is rejection because it lowers your status. Now, why is lowered status so important to us? Your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother or whatever, when they were in the tribe, if their status was lowered, they would be abandoned or they would be shunned. And basically in those times, when you lived in tribes of only 150 people, lower social status could literally mean death. It could mean being abandoned, left in the cold to starve. So anytime you're faced with a situation that could potentially lower your status, you're not just afraid of rejection, you are afraid of being abandoned by the tribe and left alone to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? That's why when you get into situations that can lead to rejection, embarrassment, lower of social status, you feel a real fight or flight response. Typical example from way back in childhood when you wanted to walk across the room and tell that person you liked them. You got that fight or flight response. And in many ways, we never really graduate from being that awkward middle schooler trying to avoid rejection because we secretly have a crush on somebody. We secretly have a crush on many aspects of life, right? Everyone has a secret crush called their life purpose. Everyone has that pretty person across the room called their life purpose. For the most part, we all pretty much know what we really would do with our life if we weren't afraid. You know what business you would start, or that you would become a musical artist, or that you would become a painter, or that you would start this nonprofit organization and save all the kids in Africa and save the gorillas and save the planet. You know what you would do if you were the most bold, daring, and courageous person that you could be. But you're not doing those things because you're afraid of getting rejected. You're afraid of lowering social status. So what are some of the remedies? Well, it's not really easy to fix, but one thing is just the fact that you don't have a choice. If you want to get that result, keeping in mind that you're going to have to face rejection, and it is 100% in some shape or form going to happen. You have to accept that up front. You are going to have to crack a few eggs to make that omelet, so to speak. So I don't have a better answer for you in terms of alternatives. You have to go through whatever steps you need to go through to get where you're trying to go. What can help is understanding that really, for the most part, you overestimate how bad the rejection is going to feel. You overestimate how bad the letdown is going to be. Most of the time, when things don't work out your way, it's like 5 to 10% as bad as the mental image of it that you put yourself in prior to doing it. And if you make that initial leap, remember I talked about no self-help guru can give you the onus to fill that space between thought and action. But if you get rejected enough times, after a while you're like, oh, okay, I didn't die. It was okay. It didn't feel great, but I also didn't die. I'm going to be fine, right? And then over time, the more you put yourself in that environment, the less it stings. Like even today, I'll put a blog post out and I'll get a negative comment, let's say, a form of social rejection, a negative comment. You can get 100 positive comments and one negative will make you feel like crap, right? So when I first got my first negative comment, like literally that flight response, that heart going into the stomach or stomach going into the heart, like it felt terrible. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. But now when someone leaves a negative comment on my writing, I just like, oh, all right, they're kind of a dick, and I just block them, right? So the first time it happens, it feels like the end of the world. But it's happened to me so many times that I know if I write something that's relatively popular, there is inevitably going to be a 100% chance of a negative comment. So I know how to deal with that form of rejection. I've built a kind of a callus towards that rejection. And the more you do this in many areas, you're kind of just shrinking your ego. Like more and more I'm getting into, spirituality. I'm getting into psychology. I'm getting into the root of what causes us to live the type of lives we're meant to live, or the ones where we kind of stay stuck inside of that box of fear. And it all ties down to ego. Like you're overestimating your sense of self way too much. Like the bigger your ego you have, the more fear of rejection you have. It's kind of like the less you actually really love yourself. Like if you ever notice somebody who seems to be really really secure and okay with themselves, it's kind of like, it's like you can tell they're positive. They want good things to happen, but like you can feel that aura coming off of them, like, all right, if it doesn't work out, they're not going to die. So they just have that kind of confidence emanating from them that they're trying to put things out, and they know themselves, they're secure with themselves, they know their intentions are positive, so they know if someone rejects them, it's not a reflection on them. Like maybe things just didn't work out with that person or that institution or that publisher or that fan member, right? The more you know that you're coming from things from the right place, from the right angle, the less personally you're going to take rejection, because there's lots of reasons people get rejected. J.K. Rowling, like dozens of publishers rejected Harry motherfucking Potter, okay? Think about that. Dozens of publishers rejected Harry Potter, Gryffindor. Come on. It happens. And it has nothing to do with the intrinsic value of the book. Some people just don't see the vision, and that's okay. Some people you interact with for whatever reason, like they're just not going to vibe with you, or they're not going to like you, not going to jive with you, okay. But if day in and day out, that's why self-improvement is so important. When you're just working on yourself day in and day out, like you just know that you're doing the right things and putting the right energy out. So when things don't go your way, you feel a little bit of rejection. You're like, okay, it doesn't feel great, but I know I'm coming at it from the right place. So I'm going to keep going and going. Again, no easy problem to untangle, but throughout a lifetime of repetition, it's untangleable. All right, You 2.0 is the book. Amazon, other platforms. Just Google it. Like, comment, subscribe, validation. See you tomorrow.